Hello friends, welcome to Coding Garden. In today's live stream, we are going to be building with Deno v2. So we had an idea here on the Coding Garden a long time ago, and honestly this idea has come up over and over again, where we want to be able to search across all the videos that I've done using the subtitles. So if you look at the Coding Garden YouTube channel, Deno, yeah, we're using Deno v2. I have 468 videos. What's up, Nate Coates? Thank you for the raid. Welcome in. We literally just started. So welcome in, raiders. Good to see you all. Welcome. And thank you, Nate Coates. I appreciate that. But yeah, so today we're going to be working with Deno v2. And I basically want to first get all of the video IDs of every video that Coding Garden has ever done. So we have 468 videos here on the Coding Garden channel, and so that includes live streams. So I've done a lot of live streams here, and then there was a while where I was only live streaming on Twitch. And so there's actually the Coding Garden archive, and there's another 149 live streams on there. Yeah, it should be pretty easy. So we're gonna use the YouTube API. And I don't want to do any sort of OAuth. The calls that we make should just require an API key. So basically, we're going to grab all these video IDs. Then for each one, we want to get the subtitles, and we're going to download those locally. That's my task for today. That's step one. Because once we have all of that, we can try to do some cool things with it. Like we could create vector embeddings for querying against all those transcripts with AI, or we could just do plain text search, and somebody could search for what does CJ think of Vue versus React, and we can find every single video where I talked about Vue versus React, and then like embed a clip that goes to the specific timestamp. That's the end goal. Today is all about getting the video IDs and getting the transcripts, and we're going to use Deno too. So if you haven't heard, Deno v2 was released. I'll do a quick intro of like what are all the new features and why you should be excited about it. But the main thing is compatibility. It works with pretty much every single NPM module. There are some caveats, but you can basically take Deno and run any node project and it will just work. I've tested it with a bunch of projects, even like really old projects, and it works wonderfully. Thank you, Acid Spark, for the 54 months. So Deno v2 is exciting, and we're gonna try it out. Listen, we don't talk about the B word here on this channel. It's not like the B word. Deno, the B word is like Deno. We'll say that because Deno has been around longer. It's from the same creator of node.js, and everyone should just use Deno. Just use Deno. We'll talk about why too. No, there's two B words we don't talk about on this channel. So yeah, we're gonna init the project, and the cool thing about Deno, I'll go over the blog post, we'll talk about it, but it has everything built in. They have a built-in project initiation, they have built-in formatting, built-in linting, built-in testing. You don't have to reach for other libraries. They also have a standard library that has a bunch of things that you typically want to do in JavaScript apps, and we're probably gonna reach for that as well when we get to transcripts, because I've done a little bit of research on how we're gonna get this done. So Deno is this. You take all the letters of node like this, and then you sort them. You have to turn it into an array. And So I was going to say, do we need to use to locale string? But we don't. The built-in comparison, it works here. You usually want to do better string comparison. But then we join it back all together on the empty string. We've got ourselves a Deno, so that's what Deno is. It's node.js sorted out. Oh, thank you, Nate Codes. wait, a golden kappa? What? That's never happened on my channel. No way. That's cool. What? Okay, so if you didn't know, if you sub or if you gift, you will get the opportunity to get a golden kappa. So right now, everyone has the kappa emote. So if everybody just type kappa in the chat, you're gonna get a regular plain old kappa like this. But if you sub or gift subs, you're gonna get a gold kappa. So I guess I'll just go ahead and do that because I want a gold kappa. Let me gift some subs. Give me a second. Oh, I'll announce all of the subs too. This is crazy. Why are they doing this to me? They've never done this before. Never, ever. Never, ever, ever. I want a golden kappa. What are the odds? I don't know, but they probably publish the odds somewhere. But yeah, I want a golden kappa. Oh, look. I don't know about you, but when I go to gift subs, you can save money on it too. So when you gift 10 subs, you can save $10. And when you gift 5 subs, you can save $5. Thank you, Acid Spark. Thank you for the gift. I'm actually not hearing the notifications. I think you're hearing the notifications on my stream, but I am not hearing the notifications on my speakers. So I'll have to do that. Melky got 2 golden kappas in a week. Oh, there you go. Oh, I heard that one. Maybe I have sounds turned off for like a certain number of gifted. I need to fix that. But here we are. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you for the gifts. But yeah, thanks again, Nate's Codes, for that raid. Ashley V with the resub. Acid Spark with the resub. Nate Codes with the 2-month prime. Thank you very much. BJ Sebastian with the 31 months. Love that we're covering Deno. Nice. And then Acid Spark with the gifted. Appreciate that. And then I gifted 10, so thank you to me. Congrats to everybody that got gifted. And then thank you, Eddie, for the 5. What were you doing, William Cameron? I see. You were trying to use the golden kappa. I see. Yeah. But now, and holy luck, thank you for the gift. But now if I use a kappa, wait. It's not gold. Where's my golden kappa? Do I have to refresh? Okay, it doesn't kick in until the train ends. Okay. Is that the truth? I just got scammed? Yeah, and then so basically, well, after you earn it, you'll be able to use the golden kappa all across Twitch for the next 20. People on YouTube are super confused right now. This is a Twitch specific thing. If you're watching on YouTube. Okay, let's say hello to everybody. I'll thank everybody, and then we'll write some code. We'll talk about Deno v2. So if you would like me to say hello to you, you can say any one of these things. Hi, hello, hello, hey, yo, cheers, greetings, hi, up, what's up, morning, afternoon, evening, howdy, good day, coding, hi-yo, vo-hi-yo, or bogahay. Say any one of these things, and I will notice you. Here we go. Moshiko was the first to say hello. What's up, Moshiko? And Arian, good to see you. What's up, Andreka? And Blenik and Crazy Vulcan, glad to see you in the live stream as well. What's up, Veeb and Ibra and Farshid and Mark and American 2050 and Eddie and Mihai Andre and Blazing Phoenix. What's up, SMC May I Boga Hey? What's up, Pow? And Anchinian and Vivian, good to see you. And Giannis and Ashley and Akdus and Sequel Gordster and Vicus and It's Not DG and William Cameron. And William, I saw your message in the Discord. I'm going to try to reply later today. So William was asking about how to start their own meetup, and I run the Denver Script meetup, but they're trying to start one in Scotland. there's their Scotland flag. I think Scotland, somewhere in Scotland. But yeah, I'll reply on Discord, give you a list. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you for the bits. And Nafto, good to see you. What's up, Azerbaijan and BJ Sebastian and Prezempko and San Bartels and Prawin. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome to the Coding Garden. Good to see you. And Roy, yeah, long time. Welcome in. Eraser X. Who has Eraser? I don't know what that is. Yeah. Deno v2 is awesome. Yeah, I'm excited. I've done some testing with Deno v2, and it is legitimate. The claims are legitimate. And quick thing, I got a PR merged into a project to fix some Deno compatibility. Speed Racer? I guess I'm not familiar. What laptop am I using? Do you have any recommendations for a Windows laptop that's good for devs? So I do all my development on a MacBook. I'm using this. I think this is an M1 MacBook from like 2020 or something like that. But yeah, so this library, Execa, is used by a lot of node.js projects, especially like CLI tools. So like the Nuxt CLI uses this, and there's other various CLIs that use this. But the Nuxt CLI had an issue because they're using Execa to run. And so if I tried to start a Nuxt preview using their CLI, which uses Execa, and then it wouldn't start. And so I actually fixed it. I made a PR into the Execa repo that fixes the compatibility. It's actually a really interesting thing when you look at how Deno works. So one of the things about Deno is its permissions model. And if you want to get the exec path I believe there's some kind of permission required to do this. So they can't, when they're in their Node.js compatibility layer, they can't just have exec path be the exec path directly. Basically, it has to be when you get the exec path for the first time, Deno is going to prompt for permission. So it has to be this weird thing, which is like an object wrapper that has a toString method and they've typed it as a string. So like for all intents and purposes throughout your code base, like if you're just using node process or process.exec path and you're running inside of Deno, most of the time, it's just going to work because at the end of the day, it's going to get toStringed because you're using it as a string. But there are some code bases that are explicitly saying, is the exec path, is the type of exec path equal to string? And that's not going to work because it's an object that like pretends to be a string. But I fixed it and it got merged in and I wrote tests for it and stuff like that. So that was cool. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one of the things about the B word is it breaks standards. It's built on top of something that isn't V1 yet, and it's newer. I think at the end of the day, competition is good. The more competition we have in the space for JavaScript runtimes, the better everything is going to be because everything's competing to do the good stuff and be fast and work in a lot of places and work for most use cases. It's all good because like the features that Deno is implementing and putting out there has even caused Node.js to implement new things. Bun isn't banned. I don't know why I keep calling it the B word. There was a time where every single stream there would be a random person that comes in and they were like, fall damage emote? Wow. Oh, look at this. Who got the golden kappa? Share it in chat. Share your golden kappas in chat. Thank you all for the support. Did I miss any others? Yeah, thank you, Holy Luck, again for that gift. And Eddie, thank you for the bits. We got golden kappas. You can use that golden kappa anywhere on Twitch. Yeah. What was I saying? I was talking about compatibility. But yeah. Oh, yeah. So when Bun first came out, it was overhyped. All anybody could do was talk about Bun. And so we actually banned the word Bun in the chat just because so many random people would just come in and be like, have you heard of Bun? I think a lot of them were trolls. It's nothing that Bun has done. It's basically their hype in the community around Bun is what I have an issue with. I think these days it's potentially not as bad, but I don't know. All right, welcome in everybody. Let's get into it. Let's talk about Deno v2 and then let's write some code. So if you haven't heard, and I guess maybe we'll turn this into a YouTube video. Probably not. I don't know. If so, let's do an intro. Hello friends, welcome to Coding Garden. In this video, we're going to talk about Deno v2. So this was released this week, last week? Yeah, I think on the 15th? No, released recently, within the last week or so. Deno v2 was released, and it's a big release. If you haven't seen the announcement video, you should because it's gosh darn hilarious. If you just the intro part, they've done like a Super Bowl style ad. It's very tongue in cheek. It's very self-aware. There's lots of little hidden Easter eggs and stuff like that. So yeah, go watch this video if you haven't, because it's fantastic. This is how you build hype, and this is how you poke fun at yourself while also doing really cool stuff. Yeah, what about Deno? So if you don't know what Deno is, basically it can run JavaScript codes. It's similar to Node.js. Node.js allows you to run JavaScript code. You can build backend server apps that where you write JavaScript code and those server apps can run on a server with Node.js. Deno is an alternative to that, and it's created by the original creator of Node.js. So this is Ryan Dahl. He created Node.js, but now he's moved on and he's working on this project that tries to fix some of the things that he doesn't like or didn't like about Node.js. And so one of the cool things is it has native TypeScript support. So you can literally just write a TypeScript file and then run it with Deno. You don't have to set up a config or anything like that. This is one of the really exciting things about Deno. Like aside from all the hype, I think, and Stony, thank you for the 38 months. One of the things that is really cumbersome when working in the JavaScript ecosystem is the amount of configs and stuff like that we have to work with. Yeah, I forgot about that. We started building an app with Fresh, which is based on top of Deno. But even the issue back then, like that was like Deno 1 point something. But the issue back then is there were so many things that we came across that we wanted to do, and a module potentially didn't exist yet in the Deno ecosystem. And they didn't have NPM compatibility back then. So I ended up writing like 3 different modules myself just for the Fresh app that we were working on. But one of the big things and big announcements about the Deno 2 release is you can use any NPM module inside of Deno, and it pretty much just works. What's up, Kaizen? After that, he's going to pivot to done, and then he'll reach his final form exactly. But yeah, native TypeScript support, and we might as well just like show an example really quick. Let's make a directory Deno. Do I have a Deno? I do have a Deno playground. What's in there? Oh, like random stuff. I remember back in the day, I also like I created a thing that would like transpile modules that weren't in ESM. It would do it like automatically for you. I didn't maintain it and I only used it for a couple of things. But these days you don't need stuff like that because there's the JavaScript registry and then also it has NPM support. But let's just make a V2 demo to show you what's going on. And I think I already have V2 on this machine. But if you have Deno, oh yeah, I had version 2, but it looks like they've released 2.02. But if you have Deno on your machine, you can just run Deno upgrade. It'll upgrade to the latest. And then we can write some code. So just like this, check it out. I'm going to have a TypeScript file, index.ts. It is, I need to make sure I have Deno installed in this project. I probably should use Deno init. I just want to show you that I can run this. So this will be available. You can watch the live stream on YouTube afterwards at Sky for All. It'll be at this exact link over on YouTube. Okay, so let's just do a TypeScript thing. So let's say we have a function called add. It takes an A, which is of type number. Is that a thing? How does JavaScript work? Yeah, seems fine. And then we're just going to return A plus B. So this is TypeScript, right? These are TypeScript annotations. And if we want to run this like in Node.js, we have to strip those types away, or we have to compile this down to JavaScript. And then let's say I want to just log 40 plus 2. I could do something like this. Now, if I run this code with Node.js and with no arguments on the command line, what's going to happen? Can anybody tell me what's going to happen if I try to run this code with Node.js? What's the JavaScript registry URL? Oh, JSR. Yeah, we'll talk about JSR as well. You think YouTube chat is broken? Jest. That's very possible. Looks like YouTube chat is broken. Sorry, everybody. If you want to chat, yeah, I'll just say this. YouTube chat broken. Please chat on Twitch. There we go. Yeah, so we have some guesses. Unknown character colon. I think, so yeah, America 2050 is saying unknown character colon. I think we're going to get an error like that, right? It's a syntax error, right? This is not valid JavaScript code. The moment the JavaScript parser comes across this line, it's going to be like, why is there a colon there? That's not valid JavaScript. And so, yeah, I think we're actually going to hit an error at the colon before we even come across number. Null pointer exception? Maybe, maybe. But let's do it. So if you just say node and then pass that file in, look at that, unexpected token colon, because we have to compile this JavaScript code. So we could use something like TSC, which is or TSX, which is the TypeScript execute CLI, which will like transpile your code at runtime and then run it through Node.js. There's also an experimental feature in the latest version of Node.js. I'm still running version 20, but I think if you're on 22 or 23, there's an experimental strip types. They're working on it, but check this out. I can just pass this file into Deno and it just works. So Deno hasn't implemented a TypeScript runtime, but it basically makes it so that if you pass it a TypeScript file, it's going to transpile it behind the scenes and then just run it. And you don't need a TS config. You don't need anything extra. It will just work. So that's one of the beautiful things about Deno is built-in TypeScript support. And then the other thing is web standards. So all of the web standard stuff like request, response, anything that you can pretty much do inside of the web browser, except of course like window and all of the like DOM specific things. All of the other stuff is supported inside of Deno directly. And they have a built-in formatter, linter, type checker. So we can do some weird stuff here. And if I run, I'm running, you can't see my terminal, but if I do Deno fmt, it just instantly formats the file. This is the command that I run. And it's just built in. We don't need to install Prettier. We don't need a config. It's just built in. I think the other thing is the linter. Can you run Express on Deno? Yes, you can. Yeah, and you can probably change these rules, but you can see by default it adds semicolons. I think, let's say we have like an unused variable. I'm pretty sure the linter will complain that thing is declared but never used, so we can run Deno lint. Yeah, thing is never used. I need to set up a Deno.json so I actually get editor support, which will show me all of that stuff here inside of the editor. But these are the beautiful things about Deno. It's all just built in. Look at this. No config files, literally just one file, and it all just works. It all just works. And then secure by default. So if you try to access the file system, if you try to access the network, Deno is going to complain. Deno is going to say, hey, are you sure you want to do that? Do you have the permissions to do that? So yeah. Is it a good idea to have TypeScript code at runtime? Not sure if the question even makes sense, but TypeScript is just syntax sugar. What's the point in having that running on production? Well, it's not. I think the way to think about it is ultimately this is getting transpiled, but we don't want to have to think about that, right? Like right now, pretty much every Node.js project that wants to use modern features and wants to use TypeScript has some kind of build process. And so that's just the way we do things, but it is cumbersome. Like the interesting thing about this is if you use a platform that supports running Deno, you could deploy, if this was an API, you could deploy it as is. You don't need a build process. You don't need anything extra. You can literally just throw your code up there and Deno handles the rest. Yeah, and then the other cool thing is NPM support. So you can now load packages from NPM and install packages with NPM. That's the other interesting thing is if you just have a regular plain old project, like let's do this. Let's grab the Express API starter. Let's do the Express API starter TypeScript. I don't want to go through a whole process of like upgrading this to Deno because you'll see in this project, we're doing all of those things, right? If you look at my package.json, my start script is using TS node, which is very similar to TSX, which basically when I'm in development allows me to run my TypeScript code without building it. And then I have a build script that uses TypeScript. And then I'm also using nodemon because I think Node finally supports watching files, but used to have a separate thing for that. Deno supports watching files. But check this out. Let's actually just clone this down, and then we can run it directly with Deno. Even though it has a package.json, even though it's meant to be run with Node.js. Yeah, check it out. Let's clone this. We'll go in there. And then, first of all, you can do Deno install. Deno install will see that you have a package.json and then install all of your dependencies really fast. I mean, pretty fast, faster than npm. Apparently, we have a lot of dependencies here. The other thing is it's caching this, which is cool. It works very similar to pnpm install. So yeah, we did a Deno install that works very similar to npm install. It created our node modules. And it cached them. So check this out. If I remove this directory and then clone it again and then do a Deno install, it works very similar to pnpm where all of that stuff was cached. So it's done instantly. So that's one of the nice things about Deno install. So yeah, we use Deno. It installed all of our dependencies. And then we have a specific task. So let's say we want to run this start script. I can do Deno task. It'll show me all the tasks in my package.json. And then I can just do Deno task start. And look at this. I'm using Deno to run a project that was meant for Node.js that is using Express. It just works. Look at this. It just works. We can go to our endpoints. Beautiful, beautiful. Obviously, this is a very simple API, but I've tested it with more complex APIs, and it works in exactly the same way. Now, you might be wondering, okay, well, that's great. Why wouldn't I just use Node.js? Really, it's all about the ecosystem. It's about, okay, if you can finally start moving to Deno and use all of these things that are built in, like the formatter, the linter, the tester, all of this stuff instead of having, like, I might actually do this as a separate video. Like, let's take this Express API starter and then just rip out all the things, all the dependencies that we don't need anymore if we were to just use Deno directly. And it would greatly reduce the number of dependencies. And we would just be using things built into Deno. So that's one of the beautiful things about backwards compatibility is this is kind of one of the only ways that it's going to get people to start switching from Node.js to Deno. is this backwards compatibility, because most people don't want to start writing stuff from scratch. Like, right, when we were trying Deno like 2 years ago, we basically had to use stuff in the Deno ecosystem and build all of our projects from scratch. It was very cumbersome. And Fob, thank you for that Prime sub. But any company out there isn't going to want to do that. They want to gradually convert. And so this is basically the on-ramp to converting to Deno, is you can take your existing node project, do all the things you're used to, but it just works inside of Deno. And then you can start to gradually remove these things. Like I could potentially remove the jest dependency here and then just use Deno test. We don't need nodemon or ts node anymore. Like there's so many build tools and stuff we wouldn't need if we just use Deno directly. Yeah. And let me catch up on chat because I'm just yapping. Can it auto format on save? Yeah, so when we actually set up a project, I'll show you, we can set up a Deno.json, which will tell VS Code that we're using Deno, and then we can have our VS Code settings say auto lint on save, auto format on save. And thank you, David. Thank you very much. I thought Node has its own testing suite. They technically do. They do have a built-in tester, but it's more recent. I think a lot of people in the Node.js world are using something like Jest or vtest because the built-in Node testing isn't amazing. But that's the other thing, is if we just do Deno task test, we can run our built-in Jest tests, and they break. Wonderful. That's why it's getting a TCP connect error, because it's trying to connect to the network, and we didn't give it the permission to do that, potentially. Can't assign requested address, or maybe that port is already in use. I don't know. This is one thing we would have to fix, but it's a good thing because it's potentially a security issue and also potentially an issue with like a port in use. Okay, yeah, so that's Deno. It's all built in. It makes everything much nicer. Let me catch up on the chat, and then we'll start building our own thing with Deno. Yeah, so this is the other thing that comes from the Deno team, is the JavaScript registry. So if you go to jsr.io, this is like npm, but allows you to basically publish your TypeScript packages directly. So if you have never published something to npm, it's a very cumbersome process. If you want to support projects that are using ECMAScript modules, projects that are using CommonJS, projects that are using TypeScript. So for example, I recently made a library called Stoker. It allows you to stoke the flame. It's a little helper library that works really well with Hono. And it's got all these built-in utilities and functions and everything else. But in order, and I published this to npm, but in order for me to get all of the types correct, in order for this to be able to work in like Node version 16 and also in CommonJS and also ESM, I have a whole build process here. Like if you look at my package.json, there's this site that it's called like, are the types correct? Types correct, is that it? Are the types wrong? That's it. Are the types wrong? So somebody built this project where you can pass in any npm package and it'll tell you if it might have type or import incompatibilities based on the runtime. So if I pass in the latest version of my package, which is 1.2.7, I have fixed all compatibility issues. So this is going to work with everything all the way back to Node 10. And it didn't find any issues, but if you look at the commit history on this repo, it took me so long to figure out how to even get that going, because in my package.json, I have to specify for every module that I export, where does that thing exist when you're using ECMAScript modules? Where does that thing exist when you're using CommonJS? And then where do the types live for each one of those? And so for everything that my project exports, I had to define this here in my package.json. And then the build script is pretty easy because I am using a project called unbuild from, I think is it from un.js? And so this was pretty easy. Basically, I used their directory building that says, hey, take everything in this directory and then spit it out as ESM into the dist directory, and then take everything in there and also spit it out as CJS into this other directory. But figuring all of this out was super cumbersome. But now if you look at my package on npm, you can pretty much use it in any runtime in any place, and it works and it's supported. But pretty much any project that's published to npm has to go through this same process. So if you look at anything on npm and you go to this code tab here, you can see that they're actually publishing a dist directory where they have builds for all the types of things that they want to support. And that's just what people do. Basically, every time you publish to NPM, you gotta build it, and then you're actually publishing your built files. The beautiful thing about JSR is you just publish your TypeScript code, and they handle all of the build. And ultimately, if you are using JSR, you do have to be using more modern features of JavaScript. You have to be using web standards. You have to be using ESM imports. But if you're already doing that, JSR is wonderful because all you have to do, like if I really wanted to, I could publish my little add function here to JSR, but I don't need a build script. I could literally just take this TypeScript file, publish it to JSR. It handles the rest. And then whenever anybody pulls my package in, they're able to get the right typings and everything else. So that's one of the beautiful things about JSR is, you don't publish built files, you just publish your TypeScript, they handle it, and they also check compatibility. So if we, for instance, just look at the standard library, this is one more thing I'll talk about, is the @std, which is short for standard, not something else. Oh, you're right, it is using an IO domain. I don't know if there's any new news on what's going to happen with IO. But this is the Deno standard library. This is another one of the really cool things about Deno is if it's not built into Deno directly, they are maintaining this top level org @std that has commonly used things that you might want to use in your app. So Deno has a built-in test runner, but there are other things you might want to do in testing like mocking. And so @std/testing has spies and mocks and all of the other stuff that you might want to use inside of testing. And it's published under @std testing. So I think we're all grown-ups. We're going to get over the fact that STD means something else, and we can just say STD without thinking about that. Yeah, so if you look at this namespace, all of these packages are maintained by the Deno core team, but it has stuff that you typically need to do often, but maybe they don't want to build it directly into Deno. But this is what I wanted to show you. Look at the compatibility here. So Deno basically checks to make sure that your types are defined correctly and everything else, and then it gives you a package score to say where this package will work. STD, I guess that's true. I didn't even think about that's man. Okay, yeah, okay. But regardless, when you publish a module to JSR, it says, okay, because you've written your types in the right way and everything else, this thing is going to work anywhere. It's going to work in Node. It's going to work on Cloudflare workers. It's going to work in the B word. It's going to work in Deno. It's going to work in the browser. So that's the other cool thing about JSR is they tell you by default where it's actually going to work. Okay. All of that to say, Deno is really cool, man. I can't wait to just use it more and more and then start converting my project to Deno, which is what we're going to use today. I think that's the other thing is there's a bunch of built-in stuff. So look at JSR, look at the @std namespace. There's just all this stuff that you typically will have to reach for NPM packages. Now you can just use them from the standard library. And I think like this is the other thing that's going to be tricky for some people because everyone has opinions, right? People will potentially like using Minimus to build their CLI tools, or potentially like using Chalk to get colors in when they're logging to the command line. But if we start to use these more standardized packages, and thank you, Timon. Good to see you. Been a long time, just like old times. Thank you for the resub. But if people start using these more standardized packages instead, then all of our development efforts, right? So anybody that potentially comes across an issue in one of these libraries can focus it on the standard library, and then we don't have to worry about like maintainer burnout or the people that are maintaining these packages maybe not resolving issues very quickly. Basically, by everyone consolidating to a standardized place to pull these packages from, the ecosystem can move forward a lot more quickly. It's going to take some time, though. And of course, people have opinions. Of course, people are still going to want to use other types of packages. But I think having a standard library like this gets server-side JavaScript much closer to the world of Python, where it has a bunch of stuff built in, and there's a standard library, and everybody pretty much just uses the same libraries for standard things, instead of in the Node.js world, where you have 10 options for everything that you want to do. And so this is the start of that. This is the start. Deno is bringing us there. And it's really fast. Some of these benchmarks are wrong. I think this first one they published because they tested a different version of Deno. But if you look at these benchmarks, it's faster than Node and the B word in a lot of these benchmarks. But you can't trust every benchmark. I don't even care that Deno is faster than Node. I care about less config, more compatibility, less fatigue of trying to figure out all this build stuff. That's what I care about. Okay, that's Deno v2. Let's build some stuff with it. Who's ready? Type 1 in chat if you're ready to build some stuff with Deno. Honestly, might switch from Deno to Bun. The speed doesn't really matter. That's what I'm saying. Who cares about speed? Yeah. Let's write some code. Let me catch up and see if I missed anything. Ah, good call. So it's not an STD anymore. It's an STI. Someone's going to create an STI namespace in JSR. Yeah. Saying something is dead and is overrated, but Deno is definitely hunting Node. Yeah, and I think that's the other thing, right? If you look on YouTube right now and you just search for Deno v2, most of the thumbnails, most of the titles are like, is Node dead? Like, is Deno going to replace Node? It's going to be a long and slow process, but Deno v2 is the first major milestone in that process because of all the compatibility that I just showed, right? The fact that I can take an existing Express and Node.js project and just run it with Deno, install packages with Deno, and works just fine. That's a beautiful thing, and it's going to get us much more closer to a place where Deno can be used instead of Node.js. How are companies going to be convinced to switch over to JSR? I think it's also going to be a slow process, right? So like if you start building things with Deno, you'll be able to install things from NPM. You'll be able to install things from JSR, but then you can gradually convert your dependencies over to things that are hosted on JSR instead. Yeah. And what's up, Timon? It is good to see you. This is ridiculously cumbersome, yes. Building libraries can be a pain, yeah. Any downfalls compared to Node? Really, you might still run into some compatibility issues because this is the thing. Any library you use that's trying to use Node.js APIs, so things that are built into Node like Path or FS or util, any of the things built directly into Node, to work inside of Deno, there's actually a compatibility layer. And so this is one of the things that took so long to get this type of support is Deno literally re-implemented every single Node.js API to work with Deno APIs. And so you might come across some edge case. With the release of Deno v2, they're basically saying that we've fixed the majority of edge cases. Pretty much most things that work with Node are going to work with Deno. But you could come across some edge cases, like the edge case that people came across in the Nux CLI that then I published a fix for in the Execa library. It's just one little edge case that people didn't think about, but it was there. So yeah. What's up, Manu? Good to see you. Yeah, less dependencies is a win. I agree. So what you're saying is that Deno is running TypeScript as it is without compiling? No. So that's the important thing to note. There is no TypeScript runtime. Deno still has to transpile it, but it's transparent to us. We don't see that transpilation process. We don't see the built files, but Deno does have to turn this TypeScript into JavaScript. And I believe they built their own TypeScript compiler. TypeScript support? Types checks and strict by default. I just want to make sure I'm not saying something that is like completely invalid or wrong. I do believe they have their own TypeScript compiler and type checker, potentially implemented in Rust. I don't know. Okay, we're caught up. Yeah, this is the other nice thing is like, if you're trying to figure out, okay, like, should I really use Deno? Should I trust it? It's from the same person that initially made Node. So that's just one thing. And what's up, Ched? Good to see you. What full stack framework would you pick to run on Deno v2? What's nice is it supports all the stuff in the Node.js ecosystem. So you can use Next.js. Now you can use Nux. You can use Astro. So I would probably pick one of those because the one in the Deno ecosystem is called Fresh. But it is specific to Deno in that it only runs on Deno runtime. So the ability to deploy this is potentially less than if you're building with Next.js or something else like that. So I don't have a good answer for you. Right now, I don't think I'd pick Fresh just because it's so much newer, it's not as mature, and it's like directly tied to Deno. I'd want something that's more agnostic. There's something else, I forget what it was called, that works cross-platform, or maybe it's built on top of Deno. I don't know. Read your question. What was your question, America 2050? Why would you trust a developer leaving a project to start its own project to replace its old project? I don't know. We can nitpick it all we want, but the fact that Ryan Dahl started something that is just so massive now. You can't deny that. You can't deny that. Yeah, you can directly run Next.js with Deno. That's one of the really cool things. And what you might not know is even though maybe if you're using the B word and you run that with and you're running a Next.js app, they actually don't support Next.js directly. It's actually calling node.js to then run your Next.js application. Whereas if you run a Next app with Deno, it's running it inside of Deno. All right, let's go. First up, we need to Deno init. We need to init a project for Deno. Let's see if the docs tell us how to do that. Yeah, we have Deno installed. We already did this, right? We wrote a basic program. We ran it with Deno. I want a Deno.json file that basically says, hey, I'm using Deno. And because I have the Deno extension installed in VS Code, it'll pick that up and I'll start getting like Deno linter errors and I can also get like format on save and stuff like that. Yeah, it's true, Acid Spark. What dev hasn't gone back to their past code and gone, man, I could have done that so much better. Can I ask more experienced people, how do you evaluate if the code is good enough? With experience. And I see myself doing this more and more lately. I want to make a video on it. I go source code diving all the time. Like if I come across an issue in a project or a library I'm using, first I might search to see if there's an existing issue, but if there's not, before even creating my own issue, a lot of times I'll just go look at the source code and see what's going on. I'll like start debugging it. I mean, it takes a lot of, I have the time to do that. I don't know, not everyone has the time to do that. But as someone who's read a lot of code, that's basically what it takes. I think one of the things that a lot of junior devs don't really practice is reading other people's code, because that's probably one of the best skills you can work on if you want to be a mid-level developer, move on to a senior level developer, is get really good at reading other people's code. So how do you do it? And how do you determine if it's good enough? You've seen a lot of code before and you've read a lot of code before. Yeah. What's up, Alistar? Yeah, good to see you. Yeah. Yeah, I like the idea that you don't install prettier with Deno too. Yeah, exactly. Cool. All right, let's do a Deno init. And Mayafum, thank you for the resub. I appreciate that. Okay, so I am just going to make a project called YouTube Subtitle Downloader. So yeah, we can do a Deno init, and I'm going to call this YouTube, I'll call it caption downloader. This is the project that we're building. Okay, so project initialized, we can go in there and then we'll open it up with VS Code. And we can see we get this Deno.json. So this has all of our tasks. In this case, we can run our main.ts, and we can see that it has a dependency on std assert. I think the other thing is, now that I have this Deno.json, it should, yeah, I'm actually, yeah. This, what does this say? First of all, I am going to disable ESLint for this project. And then I'll make sure that I have the Deno extension installed. Yeah, we've got, oh no, it's disabled. Is this the right one? I can't see the number of downloads. Yeah, this is the one, 821,000 downloads. This is the one that I want. It's enabled. I'm now going to reload the window, and we should be good. ESLint isn't running anymore. I might even disable, let's disable prettier too. This is the other thing, is you need less extensions in your editor if you're using Deno. We're going to disable prettier. Cool. And then now do I get linter errors? So if I say const thing equals this, we get a linter warning that says thing is declared, but its value is never read. And we can see that that linter error is coming from Deno. So the Deno linter is working. The other thing is we want to see if the formatter is working, and then we'll enable format on save. So if I do format document with, you can see that Deno, since I have its extension installed, Deno is an option here. And so if I say format with Deno, that's basically like running Deno format from the command line. But I want a task for that too. So let's add a format task. And then that literally just runs Deno FMT. That's literally it. But it automatically looks at this directory and then any TS file gets formatted. I think it also supports formatting like Markdown files too. Let's add a README. We will call this the YouTube subtitle downloader. Download all subtitles for all videos on a given YouTube channel. I want to test if we run the Deno formatter. Yeah, check that out. It even has rules about Markdown. So you in Markdown you can make lists with stars, but you can also make lists with dashes. And if you use their formatter, it just defaults to that. It's like it's their preferred way of writing Markdown. The other thing is it also will format codes. So if I have a code block here inside my Markdown, let's have a function, hello world. Something like this, some weird formatting. And then if we format it with Deno, look at that. It formats our code samples. It formats our Markdown. It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. So I want to enable format on save and also lint and like lint autofix on save in this project. So I'm going to add a .vs code folder in here. And then if we add a settings.json, we can have a rule for auto format on save. Format. Yeah, editor.format on save, true. And there's also like a lint fix on save. Anybody know the rule? Editor, I might just go look it up. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna go look it up. I'll look in my recent Hono Open API Starter project because I have those settings in here. The rule is from is it from ESLint? No, here we have source.fixall. Maybe there's a source.fixall Deno. Let's see if that exists. Fixall.typescript. Always. Just remove .eslint. Source.fixall. It looks like that's the only option, though. Let's see. What's a linting thing that could be fixed? So first of all, does the format on save? It does not format on save. Let's reload. I guess I might also have to say what I want my formatter to be. Format with. We'll just search it. VS Code set default formatter. 2 Utes? Wait, what? I don't know, my cousin Vinny. How do you change the formatting options in Visual Studio Code? Editor.default formatter. And then can we say Deno land VS Code Deno? Okay, so now that we've set that as the default formatter and we have format on save, does it format on save? It doesn't. This is not looking good. What am I missing? Is there another one? Oh, no worries, Timon. That's okay. I don't want to spend any more time. Oh, this is a VS Code issue. Like I don't need this. Like I can press Command Shift. Yeah, let's say configure as Deno. Yeah, if I press Command Shift F, that just works. Like, that just runs the formatter. Config would be easier with Deno. I don't know. I'll have to figure out what the settings are. I mean, maybe now that I set the default formatter, will it work? Yeah, okay, so that was basically it. VS Code didn't have a default formatter set. The docs say editor.default formatter. Am I missing the docs? Setting up your environment. We should have just read the docs. Oh, they literally have initialized work. Look, this is on me, okay? I'm so used to having to do this stuff manually. That's my problem. I'm going to delete that .vs code folder, and I'm going to do what they tell me to do, which is Command-Shift-P, Deno initialize workspace configuration. Read the docs. Okay. Deno initialize workspace configuration. There we go. It created the .vs code folder. It said Deno.enable true. Maybe that's all we need for their specific extension. No, it's not. Okay. Oh, here we go. Deno.lint. And Deno.format? True. Deno.format? FMT? Maybe now if I have editor format on save true. You're right. Linting isn't formatting. We still need the format on save. All right. I'm gonna have to. I deleted that directory. Does anybody remember what setting I had? I think the other thing is if I open my user settings, does this have like a default? When I set that earlier, I think we set the default formatter for TypeScript. Yeah, I think we might need something like this, but instead of using prettier, we tell it to use Deno. Yeah, so now that I have TypeScript as the default formatter for Deno, and I have format on save set to true, now when I save this, it works. Okay, so you need that setting. You need to tell it what it should use, what VS Code should use. I guess there's no way to add this at the top level. Oh, there is. Can I, if I do this, does it just work for everything? No. Deno enable true. Editor.format on save true. Editor.default form. Yeah, I think the issue is my local settings are overriding the default formatter here. So I need to delete those from my default settings. I'm just going to do that. I no longer need those settings. Okay, so now that those aren't in there and Deno is set as this, if I press save, it works. That's the issue. My personal settings were overriding the Deno settings. Okay, that only took us 20 minutes, but that's a learning. That's a learning for me. Basically, if you want to use Deno, make sure you remove all of the existing prettier settings that you might even have in your local repo. Yeah, I thought that they would overwrite user settings as well, Huggins. I don't know why that wasn't working. We were going to have an ad in 2 minutes. What else do we need? Got the command line. Deno run. Deno check does type checking. That's pretty cool. I wonder if it will say anything for like the any type. So we do get a linter. Has the any type. Oh, can I do */**.ts? Yeah. Cool. So we get type checking. I'm going to add that to my package.json or my Deno.json as well. Deno check */**.ts. Okay. Let me see if I missed anything else. Yeah, you pretty much, if you have prettier already enabled in your settings, you're going to have to remove it and set it to Deno. Oh, wow, Pranish, you bought your first MacBook. Nice. Glad to hear it. Hopefully it works out for you. And ads are going to start in 1 minute, so we'll take a quick break when the ads start. Deno is faster than Node in most benchmarks. That's probably it, right, Killer? There was more specificity in my config, which didn't get overridden. Yeah, so I think that's the main thing is I didn't have a top-level config like this. I had individual configs for every type of file, and that was more specific than a top-level config. That was the main issue. Yeah, we'll add the permissions when we come across them. I think we're going to need the net permission when we actually start writing code. Cascading configs, yeah. Okay, so ads are starting now. I'm going to, first of all, I'll take a drink of water, and then we'll start writing some code. I think I'll also, yeah, we've got all our scripts. We set up VS Code. In the meantime, I'm going to pull up the docs for the YouTube API. So when the ads are over, we'll hit the YouTube API. Can you hear the dog barking in the background? We got a new neighbor and their dog barks a lot. And he's like right there. Can anybody hear that? I do have noise cancellation on though. Oh, that's a good point, Eddie. I should talk about that too. No dog bark? That's good. Would it be feasible to run a project with Deno and Docker on a VM? Yeah, absolutely. Think of anything you're already doing with Node, you could do with Deno. So yeah, you could put Deno inside of a Docker container running your app. If you had to pick between Deno, Node, or Bun, what would you choose? Either Deno or Node, and it depends. If it's an old like legacy project, it's probably built with Node, and you might still need to use Node for it. You can try running it with Deno. I showed that earlier. But if it's a newer project, I'm going to try to start building things with Deno. I think the main issue is like it is early days. I think anybody immediately switching to Deno v2 right now is you're an early adopter, right? In the graph of adoption, you're an extremely early adopter if you're switching to Deno right now. I mean, probably not as bad because you're an extremely early adopter if you adopted Deno in like v1. I think at this point it's you're like more in the middle. But no, I would say like it's ready for production. It's more so, is it compatible with your code base and the way that you're doing things and the tools that you know and love? Because yeah, lots of people are running Deno in production already. It's really more about preferences and compatibility and familiarity. Yeah, Krusty says, I've been using Deno for 2 years and I'm satisfied. Yeah. I find all the available DB ORMs are lacking as of this moment. I really like Drizzle, but it takes some getting used to. Okay, are the ads still going? Let me see if I missed some YouTube chats. What's up, Ryan? If you didn't see, my YouTube chat integration is broken, so we're not getting any YouTube chats over here. But how is AI trained on the docs not a thing yet? It should be. So I will say one thing that I did recently is, I mean, I haven't delved into using like Cursor or anything like that, where I believe with Cursor, you can literally point it at the docs and it'll just download those docs into your directory, and then it's able to use those as context. But one thing I was doing is I was using Google AI Studio and prompting there, and I literally just copy pasted the markdown docs for the library I was using, which is React testing library. And then the responses I got were a lot better. It was basically able to use the docs to provide more relevant answers instead of providing like outdated codes. Yeah. Yeah, Keasley is very popular now, but the cool thing is now you can use Drizzle with Deno directly. Did my API key expire? I don't think so. Maybe. If it's compatible with Node, why the need for Deno specific libraries? Because I think eventually we want to get away from the whole build process and stuff of NPM. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, Supadino. Hey, nice username. But if you look at their announcement, they talk about how Deno 2.1 is going to be an LTS or long-term support. And so in the world of production usage, if you're a large company and you depend on something like Deno or Node, you want to know that you are going to be supported. It's going to have your back if things go wrong, or you want to make sure that there's not going to be any weird breaking changes. And so if you look at their blog post, they have a timeline here. And essentially when version 2.1 is released, that is going to be an LTS release, a long-term support release. And that's actually a good sign as well, right? It wouldn't make sense to have the initial release be LTS because there are potential little edge cases that they didn't think about. And now that more and more people are using Deno, they're going to come across those, they're going to try to fix them, etc. But then finally, when 2.1 hits, which potentially is going to be in November or December, it's going to be marked as LTS. You potentially have seen this on the Node.js website. They used to have it very clearly on the landing page, but the LTS version of Node right now is version 20, meaning long-term support. So if you're a company using it in production, you probably want to be using version 20. And then I believe version 24 will be the next long-term support version. And then they gradually remove support for older LTS versions. So yeah, as a company that's using this kind of stuff and you want to use it in production, you want to make sure they have some kind of LTS release. And when it reaches that, you can be much more confident that it's production ready. Yeah. I'm still confused about JSR and NPM for Deno. Can I use both package managers in one project? Yes. And I think I'm going to in this project, but I'll show you how to do that. You wouldn't use both package managers. You would just use Deno, because if you do Deno install, I think I'll have to look up the syntax, but there's like a -- npm. This will actually install it from npm. And then I believe in your Deno project, it's going to add it to imports right here. So that is possible. You can mix and match. That's one of the other cool things about this. Yeah, exactly. A discordant strike. I compared it to like the world of Python, where Python has just a bunch of stuff built into their standard library. And so this potentially puts back in JavaScript on that same track. Short-term support? Yeah, some support better than no support at all. I think they potentially will have plans to extend this as it exists for longer, but yeah. When making an executable file out of your JavaScript, does Deno make a smaller file than Node? Node doesn't support this natively, does it? Maybe they do. Maybe it's a more like experimental feature. But that's one of the other cool things about Deno is you can compile your entire project into a single binary. So basically just like write your codes like this, and then Deno compile will turn it into a binary that doesn't require Deno to be installed on the machine that you're running it on. I mean, we can try this right now. Deno compile. Let's see if there's any special settings I have to specify. Script arg. Yeah, I just compile this main.ts. Look at that. YouTube caption downloader is an executable. I think right now I didn't cross compile, so this is only going to be able to run like on a Mac with an M chip. But look at this. I can literally run this, and it actually executes it, and it has Deno embedded inside. I could share this file, and people wouldn't need Deno installed. So that's the other cool thing. Cool. All right, I think the ads are over. One binary with SQLite is possible. Yeah, I think they have a built-in SQLite, or like a built-in way of working with SQLite. So you could write some Deno code that talks to a SQLite database. It looks like it's pulling this from Deno land though. I don't know. I don't know. What's the size of the binary? Let's see. 65 megabytes. I mean, we're still including the entire Deno runtime. So obviously it literally has to have the Deno executable inside of it. Yeah. Yeah. What is this YouTube subtitle search tool about? I'm going to tell you right now, and we're going to build it. First step, get all the YouTube IDs for every video on a channel. So the Coding Garden has done a lot of videos and a lot of live streams. I have 468 videos on my main YouTube channel, and that includes live streams as well. And then if you look on the Coding Garden archive, which we don't publish to anymore, but there was like roughly a year where I wasn't live streaming on YouTube. I was only live streaming on Twitch, and then I would upload those videos to this channel. And this has 149 videos as well. So this is a vast amount of live streams that I've done. Most of the time, those live streams are like 3, 4, 5 hours, sometimes longer. And a lot of times there's some good stuff buried in those live streams. So what I want to do is I want to get the captions, the subtitles of every single video and live stream that I've ever done, and then you be able to search across it. So we could use LLMs, right? I could, at the point where I have all the subtitles, I could create some vector embeddings, and then we could use LLMs to query across every every video that I've ever done. But we also could just use text-based search tools and search across them. Yeah, right now all the subtitles are auto-generated, so there probably are going to be some weird issues where like it doesn't name things in the right way, but it's the first step. It's the first step. So today I want to download, or at least write the script that can download the transcripts for every video that I've ever made. And that starts with the YouTube API. So I want to list all videos on a specific channel. So if you look in the YouTube API, search and then list, I believe you can pass in a channel ID. Yeah, so if I pass in my YouTube channel ID, I should be able to get every video that I've ever published. And I've written code that's done this before, but I won't look at that code so that you can see my process for figuring this out. But basically, yeah, I want to hit this endpoint, and it is here. We're making a GET request to search. The nice thing about the YouTube dev docs is they do actually have this API Explorer. And so the part that I want, listed flash, yeah, we've done a lot of YouTube API calling with listed. We want the snippet. Yeah, so part of the YouTube API is they include the snippet, which has all the info that you would want about a thing. And then we need the channel ID. How do I get the channel ID for my YouTube channel? I don't know. I guess I could do a search for channels. Get channel ID for YouTube channel. Like potentially without hitting the YouTube API. YouTube channel ID finder. Now here's the thing. If I want to write this in a way that other people can use it, I don't want to just I mean, I guess we could have it as an environment variable. I'm a human. @Coding Garden is the handle. The channel ID is a number. So, yeah. So if I throw in Coding Garden right here, convert user name to ID. That's the ID that I want. So here's what I'm thinking. We have some kind of .env file that has like a list of channel IDs. Thank you, Codmaca. I'll do that. And this will just be a comma-separated list of every YouTube channel that I want to grab these videos for. So that's my channel. But Codmaca is mentioning I can go. I'm going to hide my screen just in case there's anything sensitive on that page. But if you go to youtube.com/account-advanced, and then, yeah, this isn't bad. This isn't bad. So you go here. That gives you your channel ID. Great. I'm gonna leave a little bit of documentation on this in the .env file. Cool. And then I'm gonna do the same thing for the Coding Garden archive to grab its channel ID as well. Let's switch to the Coding Garden archive. I know you can't see my screen. I just don't want to reveal anything if that's the case. Cool. And now we update this. So I want a little comment here that says, find your channel ID here. Cool. And so I have 2 channel IDs. I want to read this in, split it on a comma, and then call the API with these specific channel IDs. So I'll save that. And then I actually want a source directory. I like to put all my stuff, all my TS files in a source directory. So I'm gonna do that. And then we'll have to update our Deno.json to run source/main. And then we can update that too. Cool. So I want to get access to this environment variable, YouTube channel IDs. How do we do that? Deno has a way. There's the process.env. I should search for environment variables. So there are special ones built into Deno. env.set, env.get. This is literally all I need. So we can say the channel IDs is deno.env.get. And then it takes in a string. I'll pass this in. And then we'll just log it out like that. In here. This is the other interesting thing. So basically, we can determine if we're just importing this file directly, then we'll just log out the channel IDs. So Deno start, Deno dev. What are the commands that Deno task dev. There we go. And so we're coming across a permission issue, right? So we are trying to access environment variables. So we need to tell Deno that our script is allowed to do that. This is one of the cool things about Deno. I think it's cool. Some people think it's cumbersome, but if you download a package from npm, you have no idea if that package is accessing your environment variables or if it's like reading files on your file system that you didn't expect it to read. So what I want to do is pass in --allow env so that my script, I'm specifically giving it permission to read from my environment variables. I think I am going to need to pass something in that actually reads in that .env because right now, I don't know if Deno has direct support for that. So you see I have this .env file. Is it going to read it in? In the world of Node, we need a command line flag or we need to install like the .env package. Let's see what happens. Deno task dev. Undefined. So we need a way of reading in environment variables. I want to look at the API reference for deno.env. It's cool, but it's not per dependency. It's just the whole process. Yeah, I think they're working on their permissions model right now. I think it's gonna be fixed in 2.1 because the other thing that is a little bit cumbersome for me, at least I think, is in your deno.json, if you have a lot of permissions, like you need env, you need file system read, file system write, you need the network, you're going to have a bunch of command line flags. And that's pretty cumbersome. I don't know what the API is going to look like yet, but it could look something like this, where you pass in an object and you say something like your command is this, and then you have like a permissions thing, and then you can say like read yes. But then like what was it kill? Yeah, like what Killer was saying. I mean, potentially you could also specify like a dependency and say what permissions it has. I don't think that's going to be available anytime soon, but I think eventually something like that would be really nice. Okay, so the standard library has a .env. Great, thank you, Oscar. Let's find it. I want to see though. We're putting the docs to the test right now as well, though, right? Like, what do the docs tell me about environment variables? Oh no, this is Deno deploy. I don't want Deno deploy. Like, is there anywhere in the docs that says use standard .env? .env file. Where was this? Reference guides, environment variables. Was I on this? I was on this page. I'm really bad at reading docs. I was already on this page. So Deno supports .env files. You can cause Deno to read environment variables from .env using the --env. Look at that. We don't even need the standard library package. We can just do --env. This will read the .env by default. If you want to load environment variables from a different file, you can specify it as a parameter. Alternatively, the .env package is the standard library. In the standard library, we'll load environment variables from .env as well. Yeah, so look, Oscar, it's telling me to do the same thing you were telling me to do. Pull that in, which loads them in, and then we're good to go. What would be the preferred way? Do I pass in --env? It probably is the light theme. Yeah, we need to enable. This is the one giant gripe I have with Deno. They don't have dark theme anywhere in their docs. Anywhere. But then now the code is unreadable. Yeah, that's how I'm feeling. So Codmac is saying, I'd advise against using command line flags because I always forget to use them. I kind of agree with that. So like if somebody else is going to be using our codes, or like maybe we publish this as its own module, this is going to make sure that they don't need to pass in --env. So I added this. You'll notice that it says it's not installed or doesn't exist. But what's cool is, well, I guess this is part of the extension. The moment I saved this file, that issue went away. Let's see, did it update my deno.json? It didn't. Maybe I'll have to do that manually. But it installed it. It's now installed. I can now just do it. So now if I do this, so not only do we want environment variable access, we also want file system read access, because at this point, we are literally trying to read that .env file from this directory. So if anything, I think running stuff with Deno also makes you realize how much permissions Node.js scripts typically have. If anything, you're just now more aware of it, right? Look at that. Okay, so we're reading in environment variables. Sweet. Sweet. Now, post install is super scary. Actually, I'm working on a video about Deno and all the stuff. I published a library to NPM. It's called The State of the Art is True. It basically exports a function that you pass in a thing, and then it will return true if the thing that you passed in is true. But as a bonus, whenever you call the function, it's also going to show you a bunch of files that it could have potentially read in if it really wanted to. And so I wrote some code that's like, do I have read access to your SSH keys? Yes, I do. Do I have read access to your Vercel token? Do I have read access to your AWS keys? Yes, I do. So literally just running this is true function in one of your Node.js projects, it's going to spit out every file that it had read access to. I could create like a bigger list of all of them. But this is just one way of demonstrating how literally any package on npm can do this. Yeah, and so Eric is actually mentioning the -A. So -A says allow all permissions. And I kind of want to avoid that, right? I want to be very explicit about what this thing should be able to do, because if I install a dependency that tries to do something else that I did not directly allow, I want to see that error. Yeah. Is this an advertisement for Deno? I mean, I like Deno in a way. I don't know. Okay, so yeah, go try that package. Okay, but one thing I want to do, I potentially want to use Zod here, right? I want some kind of Zod validator. Yeah, is there schema validation in the Deno ecosystem? Let's look on JSR. If not, this will be cool to show you the interop between npm. Schema validator. Is Zod on JSR? Validate request the Zod. I'm just going to install Zod. Yeah, check this out. Let's say I want to install npm x using npm packages. We can import it. So let's right here, I'm just going to say import star as z from, you prefix it with npm, and then try to use it. Let's see, does it auto install it? Maybe it doesn't if I try to use it. Whoa. How am I already getting type completion? Did it just install it? Wait, what? Valibot is on JSR? I've never used Valibot. I want to do this because I want to see the interop between. Okay, let's actually take a look. If we look at our Deno.json, no, I didn't update the imports. It just installed it. That's actually another beautiful thing. Just paste it in, and it's good to go. So I want to create an object that has YouTube channel IDs, which is actually, then I can do some custom parsing here, because I could say this is a array of z.string, like that. So I could create a custom parser that splits on commas and then turns it in to a thing. Let's call this the env schema. And then the env will be something like env schema dot parse. And then I think we need to explicitly pass in all of the environment variables. Is there a way to get all of them? Deno.env dot toObject. Yeah, like this. And then we're going to log that. So now when I start the script, it's going to parse my environment, all of my environment variables with Zod, and then I should get back a nicely typed schema that has that. But right now it's going to fail because this is going to return a string, not an array. What about optional environment variables? You can do z.optional. Like that. Easy. Well, I think you put it on the end. Yeah, like that. Easy. Okay, now if I run my script, I think it's going to fail. Yeah, look at this. Expected array received string. We're here, everybody. We can use npm modules directly with Deno. This was so easy. It took me a long time to even like run the code, but literally pull in any package from npm. You can just use it directly with Deno. Okay. I want to super refine. I want to refine this. So I think I get the. Does anybody know what's the Zod method that'll let me convert it into the thing that I'm expecting? I like onboarding myself to any repo without scanning its dependencies in the package.json. This is another good point. And Wivy Wonder Woman, thank you for that tier 1. Is like, you probably want this listed somewhere so people can see. I think we can add, okay, we'll use transform. I think we can, if we add this to our imports, Yeah, let's say I just want Zod to be from npm Zod, and then we'll pull this in from Zod. And then also I want .env/load. I want that to come from here. I guess maybe I'll do it like this. At standard/.env points to this. And now I can do that. Okay. Use Deno. Yeah, that's a good point. So, honestly, let's see what it does if I use Deno add. If I say Deno add, do I need just like npm Zod? Sick. That does it. Yeah, oh, look at that. And it puts the version number on there. Sweet. Okay, that's the way to go. Use Deno add. You do that. It maps it to Zod. Now I can import from Zod. That's the winner. Okay, so now I could do Deno add of standard.env. Well, from JSR. And now our Deno.json has the version number. Beautiful. We're learning, everybody. This is the way to write Deno code. Okay, somebody mentioned it's transform. Yeah, transform takes in the value, which is going to be a type string. This is the way. This is the way. I'm going to go look at the Zod docs. I can never remember anything off the top of my head. So you wouldn't use npm, pnpm, or yarn. Exactly. So now, so this is what I showed earlier. If you go into any node.js repo or like npm repo or npm repo, if you do a Deno install, it's going to see your package.json and install the stuff. z.string.transform, and then that returns a new type. So this gives us the value, and then we just want to return value.split on commas. Cool. The other thing is, yeah, so this is one thing I like about a formatter. Like, if I save this, it doesn't have any opinion right now, at least on the line length here. But if I'm like, hey, I want this to be on another line, when I save it, the formatter keeps that specific formatting, which is pretty slick. But now, does it say, yeah, sweet. Okay, this is the way to go. Transform, whatever the type of the return is going to be the inferred type of our schema. This is what we want. So now when we log it out, we should see an array of strings. Beautiful. Wonderful. Amazing. Does it resolve GitHub repos? Maybe. To be honest, this is looking way more comfy than your FreshBots experience. Deno is here, everybody. It's figured this stuff out. Okay. All right, we read in the channel IDs. I think another thing that we're going to need, yeah, it's probably a good point. Radiance is, we should clean this up. So like split it, map over it to get each ID, and then trim each one of those. Just to be sure. "2025 is the year of Deno." I like it. Here's the other thing. I think we can say, can we tell it that the min length is 1? I mean, this transforms it to a string, an array of strings. I don't think we can chain after .transform to give it more things. Because on an array, I think you can say like min length. Oh. We can add our own validator. I want to use the array validators though. Like if I had a z.array of z.string, I think we can set min. Yeah, we can set min length to 1 to make sure that the minimum amount in here is 1. Is coerce the way to go? Coerce just, I think, converts to strings. I've used this for numbers before. Like if you say z.coerce string or z.coerce number and it was a string, it'll coerce it. I don't know why I care about this so much. I need to keep moving. I need to. Let's add a little to do. To do, validate that length greater than 1. Okay, we've got our channel IDs. We're also going to want a YouTube API key, and this is going to be a z.string. Yeah, and so now if I run my codes, it's going to break because the YouTube API key is required. One thing that I'll do is a safe parse, and then this is going to give me back the data, which will reassign to env, but it's also going to give me back the error. And if there was an error, we can throw an error. Or can I do deno.exit? Yeah, exit. And I can chain and refine to check the length. Yeah, I guess the issue with refine is then I have to add a custom error. I don't want to do that because then I have to create like a whole like issues object. I've done that before. We're going to do a console.error right here with error.issues.flat. Yeah. I think though we don't want to exit. Because if we exit, then that kills our watch. So what do we want to do here? But I guess we want to throw an error. Missing invalid env. Yeah, this is what I want to see because if I'm using the watch script, I don't want it to kill it. I want it to just like it threw an error, and then when I fix this, it should restart. And so if I go add a YouTube API key, and save it, guess it's not looking for .env changes, but yeah, now it has it. Okay, cool. Nice. Let's get an API key. Let me go do that. I'm going to hide my screen for a second. I'm going to go to the YouTube API console, grab an API key, throw it in my .env. But in prod, it should exit. I think in prod, if it throws an error, that should still exit because in prod, it's going to be in some sort of like runner, right? Like, right? I don't know. Thanks, Oscar. Object. Is cloak a thing for VS Code? Yeah, let me install that and enable that before I show my screen again. Okay, so I have an API key. I got it in the Google Cloud Console. I'm gonna throw it in here, and I thought I had an extension called Cloak. I think the main thing. Okay. Cool. Yeah. The extension in VS Code from Papa John, um, hides my keys whenever I am showing this file, which is pretty slick. So that's great. Let me just double check. Like if I open the file, it's cloaked by default. Fantastic. But it's broken. It's broken. If there are any comments, it completely breaks it. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, while I'm thinking about it, I know you still can't see my screen, but I'm going to create an env.example file for people that want to run this at home. Env file comments should be on separate rows. Mine are. It's just an issue with the extension because because right now it's at the top of the file, but I want it to be above a different environment variable. Actually, I'll show you in the example file. Yeah, there's a bug. There's a bug in this extension. Check it out. So now I have my env.example file. The comment is at the top, but that comment actually needs to be here. And then the moment I move it, it showed the API key. And thank you, Crimson. Thank you for the 5 months. I feel like I need to pick my beanie game up now that I'm in the Midwest. Always Wyzod. They keep talking about it at work. It's a schema validator. It's really good. You can use it for all kinds of things. In this case, I'm using it to validate my environment variables. So I'm making sure that when you run my codes, these two things exist inside of my environment variable file. But you can also use it for validating data that comes into your API. You can use it for validating data before you put it into a database. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. All right, I have an API key. Let's call the API. Here we go. I would like to call this endpoint. And let's create a function that's just called list YouTube videos. Yeah. List channel videos. So we're going to take in the channel ID, which is a string. And then we're going to do the work. And I want to make a request to this endpoint. I think we're just going to use fetch for that. We'll make this an async function. Say the response is fetching this. And then we can pass in an authorization header. Well, actually, I don't think we need to pass in a header. We can just pass in a query parameter. So I'm going to create a search params object, URL search params, and I'm going to say that the key is env.youtube API key, like that. And how do I say that env will not be undefined? Let's do this. We're going to grab the type of our env schema. z.infer is a built-in. And then I'm going to create a variable called env that is of that type. Cannot redeclare block scope variable. That's fine, because if there was no error, env is just going to get overwritten as data, like that. Env is never reassigned, but it is. Cool. And then now I don't have to worry about this being undefined. Okay. Oh, I see. Codemaca. Yeah, yeah. So the question people typically have is like, oh, well, I'm already using TypeScript. Why would I use Zod? Zod is runtime validation. TypeScript is compile time validation. So when my code runs, I want to make sure that this property exists on this object. With TypeScript, all of the types, like this type specifically, would get stripped away, and it doesn't run any actual validation. This piece of code right here, when the code is running, literally goes over that object and makes sure that it has all the properties that I expected. That's why you would use something like Zod and not just TypeScript. And so, like, yeah, because technically I could have created a type called like my env, and then it just says that YouTube API key is a string, and then YouTube channel IDs is a string array. Okay, so it's just a type. Now I need to go from this, which is the env object, to this. And so I could write that code manually. I could say, like, I have a thing which is of type env. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm just showing you an example. Like, I would then have to say this is deno.get or deno.env .get. Well, actually, let's do it the other. So let's say we have the env object, and we say deno.env to object. Okay, so this gives us a big ol' object, and then now here I could say that is the thing that should be inside of there, like that. But I need validation, because I need to say, okay, does that thing actually exist? And then for the channel IDs, I would do a similar thing, and I could like write my parsing code that takes it from a string to an array. Like split it. Yeah, great. And look at this. TypeScript is not complaining, but there's a potential issue here, right? So like, if this is undefined, then this is going to break, because I can't split on undefined. And this right now I think is just, yeah, it's just a record string, because we don't know all of the potential things that are inside of there. So I need to add more parsing and validation here. So this is what Zod gives us. Instead of like this manual creation and validation, I can define it all in one go. This is how I want to validate it. I can pull the type out, and so now this is that type. And then after this line of code, I can make sure that this variable has that stuff inside of it, and if it doesn't, it throws an error. Hopefully that helps for anybody that's new to Zod. That's why we do it. Okay, I'm gonna throw. Yeah, so but that's the issue why I didn't even suggest the question mark, because record string just says, yeah, it could be anything. It could be anything. Yeah. Yeah, runtime validation versus the code would make it here. It would pass in undefined, and then I would get an API error. Or the code made it to the point where I was trying to split it, and then it would come up, and then it would be a runtime error that, hey, you're trying to split on undefined. But the codes won't even make it here unless that is actually a string that it received from the .env. All right, I want to pass in these search params here. Does fetch have an argument for params? They don't. I think I just have to put it into the string. So I'm going to throw it right here, question mark, and then we can pass in the params. And it has a built-in stringifier that's going to turn this into like an ampersand separated list. Then we should get back the response. And for now, we're just going to log that out. You can take a URL object. Maybe I do that instead. Maybe that's the way to go. So I can say URL is a new URL. And then does this have a search params? Yeah, this is probably the way to go. I like that better. Okay, why is this complaining? Do I need just the URL? They're not as intuitive as I would hope. I mean, I thought they, I mean, I don't want to pass in like the host. Do I have to pass in the host name? And then the path. This is not nice. This is, I don't like this. I don't want to figure out what this type is asking from me. So we're going to go back to define our params separately and then pass them in. Because yeah, we can figure it out. But that's for a later thing. Okay. Let's run the function. Let's see what happens. I actually don't know if this is exactly what we need. And also, I think we want to pass in a query. We don't want to pass in a query. We want to pass in a specific channel ID because I want to get all the videos for a specific channel ID. Yeah, so we've got our channel ID, which is going to be that specific channel ID that got passed into this function. Okay, here we go. We got the channel IDs, and then for each of those, let's do a for await. No. Let's just do for channel ID of in env.youtube channel IDs. I always confuse them of and in, but let's see. Let's call this videos. We'll say list channel videos, pass in the channel ID, and then log it out. Is this going to work? I don't know. I'm also going to hide my screen because it might actually leak my API key if this fails. Let's see. Oh, first of all, this is good. We talked about permissions. So now my code is trying to make an API request. So I specifically need to give it network access so that it can make that API request. So I'm going to pass that in my Deno.json. I'm going to run it. Awesome, it worked. And it's not leaking any API keys or anything like that. First of all, I didn't await the promise. That's on me. So I need to await this because my code just logged a pending promise here. Okay, so if I await that and then I run the codes, I need to enable the YouTube API inside of my specific project. And I'm still not leaking any API keys. But so it failed. I'm curious though. This was I'm still parsing the JSON. Oh, because I'm logging it twice. And I'm returning nothing from the function. That's on me. That's my issue. I need to just return this. This is how it should be. This function returns it. I was like, where are those undefines coming from? Yeah, this is what I would expect to see. Because with fetch, I literally need to check the response status code. So I can say if response.ok will just return the JSON like that. But if it wasn't okay, we could throw an error. And because this is the YouTube API, it's always going to be in this response. We could do json.error.message. Yeah, that's what we'll do. And then the process exit because it threw an error and that I didn't catch. Awesome. Okay, let me go enable the YouTube API instead of my project. Yeah, I think this is the main issue, right, Codmaka? If I have to enable all of those privileges anyways, how is it any better than Node? I think it's going to come down to dependency level permissions. Like if I can specify permissions for a specific dependency, that's probably going to be way better. Or that's probably what I would need. Did my computer just crash? I think my computer crashed. This is not good. This is not good at all. What is happening? Did I get hacked? You're probably also wondering, how am I still streaming if my computer died? I bet this had to do with Deno. I gave it too many permissions. I gave it way too many permissions, and it crashed my computer. I actually have no idea why that just happened. Time to use bun. Your computer restarted because of a problem. What problem? Allow mining Bitcoin? It's probably what I need to do, huh? MacBooks are this has never happened. I think the last time I restarted this computer was like 5 months ago. What is happening? Okay, I'm back up. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go into the Google API console, and oh, I still got other things I need to do. Okay, give me a second. Great. It's there's no way. No, it wasn't. It wasn't a Deno issue. I have no. It could be my HDMI. I don't actually know. But when you're using the YouTube API, you can create API keys in the Google console. But if you actually want to call the YouTube API, you actually need to enable specifically the YouTube API data v3. So I'm going to do that. And then once it's enabled, my code should be able to get videos for a specific channel. All right, so we enabled it. Well, this is my personal computer. It doesn't have a. It's not pushed by corporate, or it doesn't have any updates from corporate. I don't know. After stream, I'm gonna go wipe all my computers and turn off my internet and cry in a corner. Okay, we have enabled the API. Here we go. Sweet. Request contains an invalid argument. Love it. Let's look at their API docs and see how this needs to be called. It's probably not key. Maybe it's like API key, because I'm passing it in as just key. Cry in a corner. I forgot it is Friday. Let's look at the overview. Like when we're calling it via the REST API, I thought you needed, no, that's access token. I see. You don't pass in the key. Well, no, that's the OAuth 2 token. What about the API key? Every request must either specify an API key with the key parameter or provide an OAuth 2.0 token. All right. We're passing in channel ID. Passing in key. All right. To really debug this, I want to see what URL I'm creating here. Like, is it in the right format? Is it like, oh, well, yeah, well, I thought it was, but it should be question mark key equals my API key, and then channel ID equals that channel ID. So I'm just going to throw this into a separate variable and then log it out and then hide my screen so that I don't reveal my API key. I don't think I have to do toString. I thought search params automatically toString themselves, but let's see. What are we getting? googleapis.com/youtube/v3/search key equals that channel ID equals 0. That's my problem. Somebody told me I did this wrong. I know exactly what's wrong though. Anybody remember what I did and what could be wrong? For const in array. And so in is giving us the keys 0, 1, 2. We want of, so we get the actual channel IDs. That's the winner. Yeah. Okay, so now we got back a response that grabs, wait, 2,000 responses? There's no way. Oh, because it has playlists too? Fascinating. So we're going to update our params. We're trying to just get a list of videos from this specific channel. And this is just the first page, so we'll write the code that gets the next page of results too. But here's what we can pass in. The type. We want type to be video. So right here, type video, like that. And now, this is what I want to see. I don't know why there are 1,700 results. That can't be right. I mean, maybe it is, because maybe the number that it shows right here, does this include live streams? It got the number right for the Coding Garden archive, because the Coding Garden archive has 149 videos. And you can see for this response, total results 149. Oh, private videos. Well, no, it shouldn't know, because this is a public API key. Like, I'm not using OAuth. Yeah, it might have live stream info. That's okay. I just want to make sure, like, we're calling. Let's make sure we're calling with the right channel ID, because wait, YouTube search result. No, it's this YouTube video. Okay. If I grab this YouTube video ID, what is it? Is it my channel? Oh, it's this. It's me. It's me right now. That's the most recent video. Okay, I'm going to trust it. I'm going to trust that I have 1,700 videos. Wow. Well, so we fixed it, Wesley. I was looking at the wrong response. Yeah, because this response has channels and everything else. When I pass in kind or type as video, so I updated the code. Now type as video. These results only have video results, which is good. Okay, let's do the pagination. So from here, we can use the next page token. I think we can also pass in limit, so we get a lot more back in the initial response. Max results is what we want. From 0 to 50. Okay, so we're at least going to get 50 at a time. Yeah. And we can pass that in as a string as well. All right. Well, now we're getting back 50, which is a whole lot. But I think we want to do json.items. Here's the thing. I want a TypeScript type for this. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to log json.stringify. And then we can use an extension to convert that into a TypeScript type. And also I'm going to extract this out into separate files because right now everything's in a single file, but here we go. I use the paste JSON as types extension. We're going to call this the YouTube search response. And then it took that JSON, converted it into these types, and now we can use that. So here, when we do .json, we can say as this. So it's going to return a YouTube search response. Really, I want to get the videos though. So I could do this like that. And really, we need some better typings here. Like I want result to be this. But if there was an error, we'll parse it like this. I could even create a little type that is an object with an error property and then a message property. Maybe I'll do that. Let's do that. YouTube response error. This is an object that has an error property, which is also an object, which has a message property, which is a string. Okay. It has other properties, but these are the only ones that I care about. So that's what I'm going to put the type as here. And then I'll get type completion, error.message. Beautiful. All right, let's clean up this file. I've got way too much stuff in here. I want a file called env that does all my env parsing. And I'm going to pull all of this into there. Like that. And then I'm going to export default env. We'll also export the type if we want to use it anywhere, and we'll also export the schema if we want to use it anywhere else. But otherwise, this is going to export that thing. Okay. Now over here, I'm going to import env from that. And we're seeing ECMAScript modules. So I have to include the .ts here. In the world of Node.js and even TypeScript, it leaves that off by default. But if we truly want this to be ECMAScript module, you can do that. Who needs tests? I kind of want to write tests later. So well, here's the issue. It's really hard to test when you're calling external APIs. I don't know. It's not hard to test. You have to add mocking. I deleted the tests. And while we're at it, I'm going to delete the, yeah, I don't have a test runner anyways. Okay, so we imported that. I'm on another file that's called YouTube. And that's going to do all the YouTube stuffs. Like this. And it's going to export this function, list channel videos. And this file also needs to import the env. Yeah, I'm realizing this more and more, Codmaca, especially since I was publishing my own library to NPM. If you want it to be compatible with ESM modules, it has to have import extensions. I'm probably going to start defaulting to this. Like every single one of my projects, even if it's not Deno, I'm going to start adding import extensions just for compatibility, because it is the way to go. Okay. Beautiful. We will import that in. And now the codes should work in the same way, but now I should have type completion. So I should be able to say videos dot items dot etc. Beautiful. Yeah, so that's awesome. Module import extensions are they are the standard. Yeah, if you look at the ECMAScript modules specification, it says that it should have import extensions. And when you're writing TypeScript code without them, it's the build process and the bundler that like adds them in later, potentially. Okay, we need to request the next page of results. I'm just going to include, I was going to say, I was only going to include one channel ID, but I think instead of doing a for of, let's just grab the channel ID from index 0 and then just make sure that that works. And then if that works, we'll call it for both channels. Okay. And actually, I'll grab it at 1 because that's the archive, and that is going to be less videos. Now we need to get the next page of results. We can see in the docs there's a page token. The page token parameter identifies a specific page in the result set that should be returned. The next page token and previous page token properties identify other pages that could be retrieved. If we just log the response, where is that? So it's this dot next page token. I'm curious if next page token could be undefined, but let's do this. So in the function, I want to call it once, and I want it to just get all the pages all in one go. So I'm going to have an optional parameter here called videos. And this is of type result item, this thingy here. No, I really want it to be this. I'm gonna rename this to I'll just do item. That's fine. So videos is going to be an item array, but it defaults to empty. So I can call this function without passing in an array. It'll be empty by default. And let's call this results. And then after we get back the result here, we'll say if result. Oh, we're going to need to pass in the next page token too. So right here, we'll pass in the next page token. And that's going to default to nothing. And I believe we can pass that in here. Undefined is not assignable to type string. That's okay. We'll do it like this. If next page token is a thing, we can say params.append next page token as next page token. Okay. Great. Wonderful. What's up, Klein? It's been a really long time. Hopefully you're doing all right. Welcome in. Okay, so right here, if result.next page token is a thing, then we are going to do a recursive call. We're going to return list channel videos. We're going to pass in the channel ID. We're going to pass in result.next page token, and we're going to pass in the array of existing videos, but we're going to concat the items that we just got back, which is going to be results.items. Like that. What's the best way to type this thing? I think I could type it like this. And then videos doesn't exist. It's results. Okay. If there was a next page token, call it again. Otherwise, at this point, the recursive call with all of the results should have everything we need. So we're going to return the list of all the results. I have an inkling feeling that it will just run forever. Or not. Are we calling it? Yeah, so we're calling it. We're logging the videos. The request cannot be exceeded because you have exceeded your quota. Oh, yeah, that's about right. Okay, let me go look at the Google API console. Got to cache heavily. All right, we have made 38 requests to the YouTube Data API v3. Is it a quota exceeded or a rate limit? That's a good call. I'm going to log out the full JSON error. Gotta cache them all. The whole point of this, though, is this can run once, save all those video IDs, and then I can to like a JSON file or a SQLite database, and then I'll write it in a way that only requests the latest list of videos after that. You have exceeded your quota. I'm just adding a bunch of logs. I know that I realize I'm not showing my screen. I just don't want to leak anything because I'm in the API console right now as well. Did I somehow leak my API key? I literally didn't show it on screen. So in the console, it says I've made 98 requests. Do I only get 100 per day? Quotas and system limits. I'm supposed to get 10,000. Is this just not updating? Quota per minute? Maybe? Quota. A call to this method has a quota cost of 100 units. A search request costs 100 units. Okay. Well, I want to search for like, is there a minimum time between requests that I need? Rate limit. I've done 98 requests, so 9,800 units. That would do it, wouldn't it? How did I make that many requests? I think when I saved the file, it got every single page. And then, yeah, okay. The dashboard is just slow to update. It's getting there, but yeah, there goes my quota. Yeah. What is this queries per minute? Why is this 1.8 million, but the queries per day is only 10,000? 24-hour stream until the quota resets? No. Here goes my quota. Is there a way to increase our quota? The thing is, I have an API key that has a higher limit because of my like YouTube API overlay or like my chat overlay. The quota extension request form. I don't want to do that. Here, I have another API key I can use. It's because of the other project that I have. So let me just use that one instead. Hey, you're welcome, Mahi. Thanks for being here. All right, I have a new API key. Let's see if it works. Nice. Okay. This is what I was worried about. So, I think this is why we ran out before. is it's just calling it. I did some logging here, but it's calling it with the exact same next page token every single time. So there's a bug in my code. Yeah, I think you're completely right. Removing the watch is going to help us as well. Because then it just doesn't automatically run when I save the file. Good call. Let's log the full result. Oh, you know what it is? Do we actually need to pass it in as page token? Yeah, that's what it is. Whenever we make the request right here, this shouldn't be next page token. This should be page token. That's the issue. So that will get the next page. All right. That's it. That was it. Okay, we've done it. I want to finish this before lunch because I've got work to do today as well. Any mods in the Discord? Somebody mentioned that there's spam. What did I just do? Give me a second. Okay. It was in the main channel. I deleted it. All right, so this worked. So it made the request for the first page, got 50 results. Request for the second page, got the next 50 results. The third page had 49 results because we have 149 videos on that channel. And the next page token was undefined, so it just returned the array. And then this array here has all of the videos from that specific channel. Wonderful. Wonderful. Hey, what's up, Joaquin? Good to see you. And thank you for the Prime sub. Nice. Thank you. Okay. Once we have the videos, I think I want to save them locally. I think I want to just write them to a file like videos.json. I think the other thing we'll do is make sure that the results are sorted by most recent. So that way, if I run this again and the first result already exists in my cached file, then I don't do anything else. That is what I will do. I think there's a sort option we can pass in to search list. Sort? Order. Order by date. Resources are sorted in reverse chronological order based on the date that they were created. So that's what I want. I want to make sure. I don't know if is that the default? The default is relevance. Yeah, we don't. So yeah, we want to say order by date. Okay. And then I want my function to also accept like last video ID, which can be undefined, but we'll just be sure to pass that in every time here. But then we can have a check. And I guess I also want to call this list latest channel videos. Something like that. Yeah, it's not bad. The docs are good. I think the quota issue is one thing. And then right now, this is an endpoint that works just with an API key, which is great. Most of their endpoints require OAuth, which gets a lot trickier because then you need like a whole OAuth flow. And then it's hard to do from the command line because then you need like an OAuth flow. And yeah, if you want to do YouTube API chat, that's a whole other beast as well. Searching videos, pretty easy. Okay. All right, this gives us the latest videos. We also want to pass, so we want to pass in the channel ID, and we want to pass in the last video ID. What is the last video ID? It's the result of reading our cache data, pulling the very first ID from it. That's it. That's what we'll do. Well, OAuth is fine, but when you're working from the command line, there is no, like, you would have to prompt to open a browser and then, like, redirect them back to the command line. It's very cumbersome to do it from the command line. We could turn this into an actual web app, and then we could use that. Well, I use Deno key value. Does it work in process? Right to the file system? Deno key value quick start. A key value database built directly into the Deno runtime. Wow. Yeah, this is what I want. Can it write to the file system? Where does it put it by default? The test section says it. By default, OpenKV creates or opens a persistent store based on the path from which the script that invoked it was run. This isn't usually desirable for tests, which need to produce the same behavior when many times in a row. To test code that uses Deno KV, you can use a special argument memory, and then it creates an ephemeral one. So by default, it's just going to put it on the file system. That's beautiful. I love it. Here we go. I think they created a whole, like, save preferences thing. Yeah. The key can be an array. I like this. I have to use unstable to use it? Come on. Let me just use it. All right. I've got the key value thingy. Key value dot get. And then I want a key, which is the channel ID. And then I'm looking for last video ID. And then I think this is async. Yeah, so I gotta await it. Key value entry. So I want dot value. But it could be undefined. Type unknown. You can pass the type in get. Oh, no, so this is the key. And then the value are the preferences. This is in Deno deploy. Can I not use KV in Deno directly? I was in the Deno deploy docs. Unstable APIs. Yeah, I think you're right then. Okay, I want to get it. I guess, okay, for now, let's not even, let's just, at this point, we're just figuring out the key value API. Let's not try to call anything else. Let's just log what this is. Does this work? Key value is unstable. Why not? why not use an unstable API? Okay. The value is null. Sweet. So is this yeah, unknown. Here I can say string. And then will it give me back string or undefined? Oh, I see, Oscar. Your code is getting stripped out. You keep saying this, and I'm like, what are you talking about? You are sending a generic argument in the chat, and then my overlay wasn't showing it. Yeah, that's the issue. Okay. So yeah, now last video.id, yeah, can be string or null. Beautiful, beautiful. That's what we want. So we're passing the last video ID in. I think I'll accept it as null. So this can be a string or null. Cool. Does this allow you to store complex values like objects, or do I have to stringify them? Oh, they have a mutate function? You can store objects in arrays. Let's give it a try. So right now I'm not doing anything with the latest video ID inside of this function, but my thought is I make the request for the first page of results, and then in the results right here, if the latest video ID was in there, then I don't make any further requests. Use the playlist API to get the videos, as that API only costs 1 unit. Oh. Oh. And then every channel has a playlist of every video they've ever published. Maybe later. I'll let me just put a to do. To do. Possibly use playlist API. Okay. But really all I want to do is once I get back the latest videos, I want to combine those with any videos that are already in the key value store and then update them. Okay, so right here, I want to do something like key value dot get. The key is going to be videos followed by the channel ID. And then I think this has a, no, this doesn't have a mutate. What is the atomic API lets you do mutate? Yeah, I heard about that super secret name. I tried accessing their website over the past few days and it was down. Now it's at like read only. What does atomic do for us? Mutate? This is going to be an array of mutations or a list of mutations. The key. I don't know if this is what I want. I think I want to get the existing videos. From the key value store. And then And so this is going to be an item array. Yeah. And then basically I want to iterate over the latest videos. And if it's not in the existing videos, push it in and then update the key value store. Okay, so we'll do, well, this doesn't need to be async. I just need to get a list of new videos. This will be latest videos, filter each one, where existing videos dot value. I'm searching an array of arrays a bunch of times. It'll be fine. I could turn this into a map and then it would be a lot easier. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'll say videos by ID will be existing videos dot value, which is just a list of an array of videos, and I want to turn that into a map. I guess I could reduce it. Is there something built in for this? But I want a map that goes from string to item. Like that. Oh, I don't even need a map. I just need a set. I just need a set of video IDs. Oh, thank you, Wesley. Appreciate that. So we'll call this the IDs. Yeah, thank you, Wesley. I appreciate the sub. Then we'll say IDs dot, we'll return it on every iteration. We'll say IDs dot add item dot ID dot video ID. We'll just call this the video IDs. Easy. And this could be undefined because videos dot value, well, could be undefined or could be null. So I'm just going to default to an empty array. Just flat it. It's an array of objects, though. I'd have to, yeah, that's, you're right. That's one way to go, is I could map it to IDs and then pass that array into to set. That could work too. But this code is already written, so I'm going to go with it. So now that I have the video IDs, right here I can say, give me every video in the list of latest videos where the video IDs does not has item.id.videoid. Okay. And then from there, we're going to update our key value store. Call this the videos ID. That. And then we'll set it. Does not has. I was using the has keyword. Look at that. So I got the new videos. I now want to say key value dot set. We'll pass in the key, which is the videos ID, and I want that new value to be the list of existing videos with the new videos in front of it. So I'll say new videos concat the existing videos, if there were any. Okay. This is video ID. Videos ID. My variables names could use some work. Everybody follow? Basically, read it from the key value store. Then, after calling the API, get anything that was not already in the key value store, and then update the thing in the store to have the latest values. Yeah, that's the way to go. Easy. Videos updated. And we can get the total amount of videos that are in the cache now. put this in a variable. This. Okay. The other thing I want to do, though, is after that, I want to set the last video ID to be the first one in the list that just got added. So we grab all the videos, we set them there, but then I also want to set last video ID to be all videos at 0.id.video ID. So the first time this runs, it's going to get all the videos from the API that are there. It's then going to put that in the key value store and then grab the very first ID, which is the latest video published, and store that in the key value store as last video ID, and then log it out. And then the next time I run this script, it's going to pull out that last video ID and then pass it into the function. So at this point, I could use it inside of there as well. To do just a little bit of logging, we'll say this. We'll say total new videos. And that's going to be new videos length, because that's the result of filtering out anything that already exists and then updating the store. All right, first try. Cool. That's wrong. There should be 149, not 100. I think I know where the error in my code is, though. If there was a next page token, we completely forgot about the existing items. So that code needs to be right there as well. All right. But if I run this again, my guess is it's going to say there are 0 total new videos. Oh, no. It's going to break everything because there actually are going to be 49 videos that weren't in there, but it's going to put those 49 videos in front when technically those are the last ones. But look at that. My code was right. There are 49 new videos. And if I run it again, there should be 0 new videos. Okay. I want to clear out the store and run this from scratch. And at this point, what I could also do, though, is because I have this last video ID, I could say this. I could say we... so yeah, if there is a next page token or result.items.find, if the result items has the last video ID in there, we're done. We're done. API limit incoming? No. Item.id.video ID is equal to the last video ID. Not. So if there is a next page and the last video ID is not in here, because if the last video ID was in there, we can just return our existing stuff, and that way we're not calling the API like the rest of the pages. So what should happen now is it'll only make 1 request to the API. It's not going to make 3 requests to the API. And honestly, let me prove it to you. Let's just say calling API with the next page token. And so now when I run this code, even though we already had all of those videos, it still had to call the API 3 times to get 3 pages. But if I check for this last video ID, now it should only call the API once because the first page of results, it didn't work. It didn't work. Did we pass it in the right way? This seems like a good... I need to test all of this code, honestly. Oh, am I calling it in every subsequent request as well? Hmm. I mean, I kind of like the idea of an early return. It's not going to change our code, but we can say if there is no page token, or we've already seen this video before, return that. I don't think that's going to fix it though. Yeah, it still calls the API 3 times. Let's what is the last video ID? Oh, the results in my key value store are messed up because the last video ID is on the 3rd page of results. That's why. I need to clear out the cache because the last video ID should be on the 1st page of results. But the way that I wrote this, it pulled that ID from the 3rd page of results. Okay. Let's just do a one-off clearing of all this. kv.delete. This. And kv.delete. What's our other key? This one. And then we'll just exit the process. So Deno.quit exit. Okay, that cleared everything out. Now, moment of truth. We're going to call it for the first time. It should get 3 pages of results. Yep. But then the next time we call it, it should only call the 1st page of results, see that it's already in the cache, and then quit. Yes. This is it. We've done it. Okay. Let me clean up the code, clean up all these console logs. Sweet. We have it. Now we need to get the subtitles for a video. I have to go though. I've been live for 3 hours. I got to get to work. I got to eat lunch. We'll pick this up later. At this point though, oh, thank you, Kodmaka. At this point, right now I was only looking at the first one. Now we can do the big test. We'll do the big test before I go because this should work. Now we'll run it for my main YouTube channel that apparently has over 1,000 videos. Yeah, so let's put in the channel ID right here. Didn't know you could store arrays in a .env. You can't. It's a comma separated string, and then I have a custom parser right here that when I pull in the env, split it on commas, turn it into an array. So that's how I'm doing that. Yeah. Do this. Do this. And then one more refactor I'm going to make, which I probably shouldn't do, but I'm gonna, because I should. Last video ID key. This should be called key, because this is the key that we're passing in. Like that. And then everywhere else I'm doing this. It's just one other spot. I can pass this in instead. Okay, moment of truth. It's going to run for the archive channel and shouldn't update anything, but it's going to run for the main channel and it's going to update like 1,000 things. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, thank you, Lyndon. I appreciate that. Moment of truth. We worked for this the past 3 hours. Here we go. We probably should have done some logging to make it a little more exciting, but look at that. Well, here's the thing. It said thousands of videos. There's only 413 videos. That's fine. But if I run it again, it should be really quick because it's going to make one request for this channel, see that it's already seen it, and then it'll be instant. Yeah, look at that. Boom, done. Okay. So next time we have all these video IDs, next time we're going to go through and get the subtitles for every single video. And for that, we're probably not going to put it in the key value store. We'll like write those subtitles to the file system or something like that. Sweet. This was fun. Quick recap of all the things we did in Deno. Potentially I'll put this in the YouTube video. Perfecto. All right, I have no idea if this is going to make it to the video that I published, or maybe this is its own video. Let's do it as its own video. Hello, friends. Welcome to Coding Garden. I just wrote a project with Deno, and it was really great. I want to showcase some of the things I was able to do because I really like working with Deno v2. So first of all, if we take a look at my codes, I am using... Now, where do I start? Where do I start here? I'm on YouTube. Yeah, first of all, if we take a look at our Deno.json, I have a few different tasks. So first of all, I just have my main entry point here. And this is reaching out to the YouTube API, getting some videos for a specific channel, and then storing it in the Deno key value store. But this task right here just runs that command right there. Another cool thing is built-in formatting and built-in type checking. So I can run these tasks to format and lint my files. And then another thing is I can use packages from JSR and NPM. So check this out. This is a Deno project, but I'm able to use Zod to validate my environment variables. So I have a plain old Zod validator. You've seen this in most Node.js code bases that use Zod, but I'm able to pull that in because I just did a Deno install npm :Zod. It adds it in my imports here, and then I can use it directly, which is pretty great. So I just do the standard parsing of my env, and then the process exits if the env wasn't valid, but that's good to go. And then from there, I can just call the YouTube API. So I have this function, which is list latest channel IDs. And then over here in the file, this is just standard JavaScript. It literally makes a fetch to their endpoint. It passes in a bunch of params. The data is paginated, so it makes multiple requests. And then if there's an error, it errors out. But there's nothing Deno specific about this. This is literally just fetching from the YouTube API. But then once I get that data back, I'm using Deno's built-in key value store. So if you deploy with Deno deploy, it actually stores this in a scaled way, like your app can actually access it like when it's deployed. But when you're running it locally, it actually creates a key value store on your machine. Because essentially what I want to be able to do is run this script. And if there are any new videos for these specific channel IDs, it needs to put that into the store. But you can see right now it exits pretty quickly because it calls the API and then sees that it already has that data. But that information is stored inside of the Deno key value store. So I'm storing what is the last video ID for that channel, and then also that entire list of videos that I got back from the YouTube API. So that's it. This is great. I like working with Deno was pretty seamless. And we're going to keep working on this project later because at this point, now that we have all the video IDs, I want to go grab the subtitles for each video and then download that. But yeah, so far, Deno v2 has been amazing. I love the interop. I love the built-in stuffs. It's great. Oh yeah, and I guess another thing I didn't show is they have a built-in module for loading our .env files. Well, not built-in. It's from the standard library, but it's maintained by the core team. It's awesome. Yeah, try Deno. I'm going to keep using it. It's great. Okay, that's all I got. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I'm going to get back to work. Hopefully, I'll see you again next week where we'll keep working on this project. And I'll push this codes up to GitHub. Just keep an eye on the Coding Garden account if you want to take a look at this code. Yeah. Cool. But yeah, thanks for all your suggestions. I hadn't planned on a syntax stream, but maybe we'll do one on Thursday. Just keep an eye on Twitter. Keep an eye on Twitter. All right, that's all I got. Stick around for the raid. If you're watching on YouTube, head over to Twitch. You can join us in the raid. And yeah, wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night. And until next time, here's this.